Now, here's Mr. Midnight, Jack Delroy.
Oh, good evening, night owls, and thank you for allowing me into your living rooms once again.
DJ Anubis
and DJ Neko
with you on the Metal Tavern Radio podcast. Here with some special guests joining me today. Got Joel Vaille from Media Glitch. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And just down below me, Brandon from Box Office Banter.
What up?
Thank you, sir. And then, of course, our regular for us, Mr. Tony of the Fucking Dead. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Hello, thank you.
So we're here gathered to talk a little bit about the latest movie called Late Night with the Devil. And it's directed by Cameron Carnes and Colin Carnes. I think I pronounced that right. Cast consists of David Dalmachian. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Dalmachian. Plays Jack Delroy. Laura Gordon plays June Ross. And Ian Bliss plays Carmichael Haig. And of course, Ingrid Torelli plays Lily. The plot is, in simple terms, a live television broadcast in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. So I'm going to go around the room a little bit because I'm assuming everyone initially saw the trailer before they saw the movie, which would generate interest. So starting with Joel, you have a bit of a director's eye. What was your first thoughts when you saw the trailer for this?
You know what? I didn't see the trailer for it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you just kind of went in blind.
Yeah, I didn't see the trailer. It's been a minute since I actually saw the movie, actually. I just everything comes across my desk. You know what I mean? As a film director, I get screeners, I get all kinds of stuff, or I'm out at festivals or something like that. So, I had no idea going into it. You know?
Oh, cool.
And I think there's a lot of movies that have devil in the title, and they're like, I'm like, okay, well, let's, and sadly they're not good sometimes. Sometimes they're good, or they rave about them, and I watch them like, I don't know. I walked in blind, so I can't help you on the trailer part.
Oh, that's a fine.
I did too. I mean, I think we watched. Maybe I didn't watch the trailer, but I didn't remember it. And then when we saw it was available on Shudder, and it was Five Skulls, and I said, he pops it on, and I said, oh, it's Five Skulls. Let's take a look. And I was like, this is not bad at all.
Yeah, it was funny because when Joel mentioned the devil part, like I revisited House of the Devil not too long ago as well. So it's like
I didn't want to say the title,
right,
of one that everyone loves, but it's not I don't know.
Tony, did you see the trailer before you saw the movie, or you actually did? Because you and I
Oh.
did it on our own little.
Yeah, we did that trailer review thing, and
Yep.
then
You
we were
did.
live
That was
that
the big
day.
one.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah. Then we were live that day, and you were said like, "Oh, the movie's on Shutter now." I was like, "It's on." I was like, "Oh," so I watched it that night with Shayna actually, and I was excited to see it because I this is before I saw any, but I didn't even know it was in theaters or anything. I just thought it came right to Shutter, so
Right.
I didn't see about everybody's going, what's the hype with this movie and everything. So I saw it, and then I saw everybody talking about it. So I went in blind technically too, except for seeing the trailer, and that's it. So
Brandon.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer either. I kind of just
Because
all I
I'm the only
needed-
one that did.
yeah, I know. It was one of those things where I forget how to say his name too, like David Dalmachian or something like that, whatever. I don't know his name. Yeah, I don't know his name per se, but I do know his work, and it doesn't seem like he gets enough roles like this where he's front and center.
Yeah.
And he's always good in like a supporting type of role. And I was really interested to see him at the helm, of a horror movie, leading it, which got me pretty excited. And then just the cover art and everything, and also just the few things I saw people say about it and the synopsis. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in. That's all I need sometimes. Sometimes trailers give away too much. I was sold on the vibe of the movie right away.
I felt the same way. I was just 100% dialed in. Like, it felt like a 70s late night talk show, right? Like, you had the outfits were great, the styling was great, and I'm like, before we get into the plot, but if you would have just looked at that, you would have said this is somebody's cable television talk show that they, or not cable back then, but like, network talk show that they put on at 11 o'clock at night. And it felt very authentic.
Johnny Carson.
I would have watched it if it was real.
The aesthetic, the attention to detail, just like even like his monologue at the beginning of the show was awesome. Like just the typical talking about presidents like Jimmy Carter and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, so basically our plot is, Jack Delroy is a talk show host competing with Johnny Carson, and he's always coming close to, winning the big award, but he never quite overtakes the ratings war. And so he's oftentimes trying to come up with crazy antics to somehow push him over the edge. He gets nominated, but never gets the prize. So,
and clearly this is a Halloween theme.
Yeah,
Everybody's
well, we haven't quite
up.
got there because most of it's like a backstory to him starting and trying to compete. And of course, his wife, they talk about how much they're in love and they're like the great couple that you see. And I don't know, let's start with Brandon this time. And what did you feel like sort of the early part of the film when they're kind of going through like some of those stills of the TV is saying about like the satanic panic and the 70s, like Manson and all that? What did you feel about all that?
I loved it. Like again, the vibe, it was set right away. I was so sold on everything. Like I just knew I was going to get into this movie. It perfectly like set up as like a catalyst to springboard you for what you were about to go into. And you could just tell. Sometimes you can tell in a movie just by like the way it's, set the stage, that you could just like be like, I'm going to be fully immersed in this. And I knew I would be, and I was. It was a very good opening. It really set the tone, as I said. And I literally, I think, told myself, like, oh shit, like strap in, like here we go. It's kind of almost got like the Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, like befell a few youths, or it's got like that type of vibe. And then you're like, oh shit, like these are the lost tapes. You're like, okay, I'm into this.
Yeah, it felt authentic, right?
Yeah, it has like an authentic type of feel where you can almost kind of lose yourself in the fact that it's fake and like the way it's filmed and the way it's delivered. I love that about it.
Yeah, it has like that fuzziness or the kind of grindhouse effect.
Yes, that grain.
Yeah. Tony, how did you feel about opening sequences for the film?
I liked it. I feel like it could have been a little more grainy. He's
like, make it look like what is it, 8 millimeter or 8 millimeter.
I don't know anything of 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter. I that's all like I don't understand. It's just like learn how to put an engine in a car. I don't understand any of that. But I love the look of the show. I love that it was Halloween and all that stuff. Again with him, I think it was really good to see him in the front. Because all you see, he's a polka dot man in Suicide Squad, and then like he's also like in other DC things and stuff, and he never really gets like this front that I could think of. So it was nice to see him with that. But I liked the idea of the whole era of like things going on, because you didn't have a computer back then or anything. Everything is in the news, everything. So it was. I mean, I don't remember that because I wasn't alive, but it felt authentic to me.
Oh yeah. I thought the soundtrack was pretty good too. It was really worked well with the movie.
Yeah.
Joel, how'd you feel about the early part of the film?
I was alive back then, so
So was I. I mean, I was probably 7 or 8, but I was alive.
I agree with Brandon. It was very like it just sucked you in. It sets up who he is very well, and it's cut fast. I mean, it's interesting because of I imagine a lot of those stills and things are AI generated things that they may have used, and that's such a big controversy right now in the movie industry. But I think it was used well, and I thought it really helps to bring in a fake narrative into a real world that we knew growing up. So I thought that they did that really well in joining those two things. Like I was like, man, this seems like it was a real thing. Like this, this was battling against Carson. They did such a good job, even though I knew it didn't, but it's like, the people who watched the Blair Witch Project when it came out, we didn't know that wasn't real. And I imagine the younger crowd that are watching this, like, man, was this a real thing? Like, it could go that route. So
they do the whole like thing with the magazines, like have them on the cover, and the one where like Carson's like the art where it's like Carson's like a boxer and
like the Mad magazine,
right?
That was always such like that the Mad magazine really stuck out to me. I remember that. Like you don't see Carson, but you just see I think the JC on his boxers. On his shorts, and so like that was really cool.
Is Mad Magazine even around anymore?
I don't think so. I feel like they had their last issue.
I think
years
they
ago,
just went out of business. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. They were around for a while, but they're not anymore.
I mean, I thought about like with Mad Magazine, like you're saying, Joel, like everything that they put into this whole opening scene felt like nostalgia. Even though I wasn't there in the 70s, it felt like nostalgia, and that's what they were trying to touch on. I think they wanted it to feel like maybe if you didn't catch the beginning of this movie and you weren't sure, and you start watching it, you're like, is this based on a true story? Just kind of like what Brandon and Tony said too, like this probably could have happened, and it looks kind of, but we move on.
I also liked the Cracked magazine as well back then.
Oh gosh,
yeah, true.
Is everything online now? Like I know Crack still exists online, but I don't know about Mad Magazine anymore. Remember that little like it was like the little redhead guy?
Yeah,
I don't remember who the Cracked was. As soon as I see it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that guy. Right. But Mad Magazine hit like what's his name? Like his face is very
I
can't remember what his name was.
Norman something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I remember back in the day. Like I remember like some Mad magazines. It was so cool. They had like you could take the page on the cover and fold it into another image. It was really fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You just unlocked a memory for me on that one.
Yeah.
I do remember that. I don't know what Crack magazine is though. I don't think
I haven't heard of that one myself, but
you don't remember Cracked? It was later. I mean, Mad Magazine.
Cracked. Yeah, when she was saying like crack is only on the internet now, I'm like,
Crack is only on the internet now. You only get it virtually.
Yeah,
Unless
it's
you're
like,
in
I work in
Baltimore, and then it's
downtown
everywhere.
Louisville. I can assure
Alfred
you
E.
crack is on
Newman.
the streets,
That's
too.
his name, Alfred E.
Alfred E.
Newman.
Newman. Thank
Alfred E.
you.
Newman. Yeah. Yeah, it was like Mad Magazine and Crack. They were like, Crack was like its
Competing.
competition, which I
Kind of
thought
like
was.
Carson and yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Ebb
That's
and flow.
So, Neko, what'd you feel about the early parts of the film?
kind of like what I was saying. You got that whole nostalgia vibe, very strong feeling of, okay, this is setting up to feel like a real person. You know, they gave us whole backstory, but they did it in kind of one of those ways where, like, you see on a newsreel, like, this is this dude and here's what's happening. It was kind of like a 2-3 minute little thing of watch him rise to the top, and then we kind of like go into his talk show. And it was a nice little opener to kind of get the idea of like, okay, this is what's going on in this era, but like this guy is doing really well for himself despite, like, his wife, the love of his life, she got sick and she passed away, and he's striving and he wants to do better with his work, et cetera, et cetera. It felt like one of those like interview things. I don't know what the right way, I don't want to call it a montage, but when you're interviewing someone, they do that montage before, like, and they do the voiceover. That's exactly what, and that's again setting the stage
Behind the music.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And it's setting the stage for, to make you really start believing that this guy is this great talk show host, and they're making you feel like this is going to be an amazing show tonight. And then he walks out and he's starting his talk show.
Yeah, so as we go along in the film, his wife passes away from lung cancer despite not being a smoker, but it was a very tragic event for himself. He had to step away from the business for about a year. Then makes his comeback, and even when he makes his comeback, he runs into problems where he's still trying to capitalize and overtake Carson, but it's just not enough, and he's actually starting to do worse. So even some of the guests that come on, like the chick that's she looks almost like she's drugged up, and she starts insulting him. Like, man, you used to be so much better, Jack, And he got really pissed off. And so, we'll be going to a commercial, but you won't be back.
Exit stage right.
So he comes up with a plan on Halloween 1977 to add in some psychics and skeptic in terms of Carmichael Hague used to be a magician, but now is like proving skeptics wrong with the paranormal and stuff like that. And then, of course,
all the hits.
Yeah, he's bringing anything. It's gonna spook it all up. I love how though the interaction between Jack and Gus, like his guy that kind of does the side thing with the band and everything.
Yeah.
There's a good rapport there with them, and it's a lot of fun. It looks authentic to like what you would see on usual late night shows.
And he was dressed like the devil.
So Jack ends up going through his monologue, and then of course his first guest is Christo, who is a psychic medium who he brings out, and at first it's a very uncomfortable thing as he tries to do his thing, and it's like not really working because the guy's like, she crossed over, she went and jumped into bed with my neighbor and left.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of hitting no cylinders there, and then ends up trying again, and he comes across a couple of women in the audience and connects with them with supposedly I think the daughter's or the son, the brother of the daughter.
Peterman.
No, that was the other dude.
Oh.
It was Edmund is the one that was the son. But everyone's kind of blown away because he's actually hitting on, the things about him killing himself and stuff like that. But
honestly, I'm going to give you all, I used to do this shit to drunk people at the bar.
She's
all the
convinced
time.
She could have been one of these people.
I could have been like one of these people on TV or whatever who used to do that. Like because I can't remember who it was when I was in my early 20s, but there was a guy on TV who was really, really popular, and he would do the whole cold reading thing where he would go, okay, I'm getting someone over here with like a P or a B. maybe. So I would just copy exactly what this guy would do, and I'd make shit up. And all these drunks at the bar, and I'm young, not old now like I am now, but I'm young, and they're like, "Oh, look at this hot chick who's a psychic. Let me sit down and buy her a drink." Or I would just like mosey on over next to somebody and go, you know, I have kind of like an intuition, and I feel like you're having a bad week. Who the fuck isn't having a bad week?
Right.
It could be
You're in
over
a bar.
like, you know,
Yeah, you're drinking that away.
Yeah.
so I'm at, yeah, and then they'd be like, "You're right, I am," and I'm like, there is a stress in your life that you just cannot get rid of, and I would just like do the call. I think it is a talent to be able to do that and like entertain, and obviously there are so many shows about like mediums, etc. But I get why they had that guy on, and he was doing the same thing, but the struggle on live TV is kind of hard, and he's just like,
Well, he tried to play
nobody
it off.
wants
He's
to,
like, yeah, you know, the lights and the TV, the cameras, you know, sometimes it's hard to get
it's
on.
messing with the vibrations.
But, you know, towards the end, before they go to break, Christo has up another premonition. This time it's very kind of violent. And it's like, somebody needs to accept this, you know? It says mini. Is there a mini? And so, like, no one's, you know, everyone's kind of looking around like, no, don't know anybody mini. No. And so he has this like what we would perceive to be a real psychic connection. And I think even Christo was kind of surprised at that moment as well. So going to Joel, like, how did you feel about this moment in the show, in the movie?
What moment are we talking about? Sorry.
Christo,
the
oh, yeah. You know, I wish he would have stuck around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know. I think that personality was kind of cool, but they just kind of ship him off and he dies, right? On the way, if I remember right. And
after vomiting black goo or some shit. That was crazy.
Which is very CG, and you can see it, and it's you know, they probably could have spent some more money on that, but anyway. But like I think everything was being set up really good, like you said with Gus. But if you notice, there's a weird, almost like they would always pan to Gus when he would say something like almost bad to Gus, or you know, joking with Gus. And so the way it's shot, if you watch it, I love what they would cut to Gus, they would cut to the skeleton guy in the crowd, they would cut, so they're making you think like something bad's gonna happen, and it might be one of these guys that are doing it.
Right.
Oh no,
the way it's edited. And I really,
you went from like Gus to the skeleton guy to the guy in the devil suit. It was like,
to the guy in the devil suit. Like they're just kind of like they're always like creating tension. And if you, I mean, because you know, we've watched so many films, or we're filmmakers, we notice those things, but the typical audience doesn't know that they're getting set up in their mind. You know what I mean? So that's what I really like about that. And so when they took him out, it kind of broke something a little bit for me, but I got over it. I mean, but I wish he would have been there. I wish he would have had more screen time.
Tony, any thoughts on that?
No, I 100% agree with that. When I found out he died, I was like, oh, well, that sucks. Like, I wanted to see him get another, you know, premonition or whatever, right? Or like, you know,
like a real one.
Yeah, like real, like I want to see more. I wanted that guy to get more black goo all over him, you know.
That guy was kind of a dick too.
Well, it was kind of cool though, because as Christo's sitting there when they bring out Carmichael a little later, Christo's like, he doesn't even want to be there. He's like, I'm ready to go, but Jack's like, no, I need you to hang around. He's like, I really don't want to.
Well, I think it's his producer.
Yeah,
his producer's like, hey, do you think you could stay? And he's like, actually, I really want. And he hits him, and he's
like, good man.
A little bit, and he can't say no. I want to go.
You're right.
We end up getting stuck there, you know.
Brandon,
there's a great line. I love great lines, but he's all like, he said something, and I can't remember what the skeptic says something that it was all fake, and then he goes, "Well, tell that to your dry cleaner," or something, because he had all over him.
Whatever.
I with the skeleton that I thought for sure something was gonna be up with that skeleton, because when he talks to him in the audience and he doesn't say anything, just kind of like sits there all
Yeah.
awkward. I thought
Oh,
this guy's
yeah.
kind of weird. Like, what's gonna happen with this guy?
I forgot about that.
And
Good
that's the stuff
point,
I'm talking
Tony.
about. They're setting it all
They're
up in your
toying
brain.
you with your brain, yeah.
Right,
On that
yeah.
one for sure.
I also with Gus, you could tell it was they're busting him, but like you could tell he's probably been put up with this every show for so long. He's kind of getting sick of it.
That's the other thing there. That's what I was saying. You can feel it in his face, and his, like, Gus was a great performance, man.
Yeah.
Because it had to be so subtle and not over the top, to, you know what I mean? So where the audience is like, is this something? Is this something going on here? Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments with them is when Jack starts to talk to the audience and the cameras, and he's like, you know, we got to do all our sponsors, and we got to do this, and this, but the most important thing is you. Of course, he first kind of delays it, and he looks at Gus, and Gus is like, well, thank you. He's like, it's you, the people, the fans. So it was kind of funny. Again, like you said, Tony, they were kind of he's kind of like the dog they like to kick around a little bit over there. It's pretty sad.
I like Gus.
Yeah, no doubt.
Brandon, what did you think about all that?
I mean, I kind of see what a lot of y'all are saying. I was actually cool with him dying when he did. And here's why, though. Like, I mean, I thought he was a great performance, but I think it's a little bit of less is more. I think if they would have piled more on it, I think it would have been too much and kind of would have subtracted from what he had already done. And it was just another perfect landing block or stepping stone, if you will, into making, the skeptic, come a little press even harder, but deep down starting to believe even more. So to off him in that moment, that was like the perfect way to just inch him closer into like more denial. Because when your back's against the wall, you either start to believe or you're like complete denial. And that was the perfect, like just over the head, bang, sledgehammer. Like now he's full on like skeptic mode. Like I have to, you get to see how deep his character is in the trenches of his own beliefs. And that is like a death like that, an actual death. What's, more impactful than that? Even if the death wasn't necessarily like crazy impactful in the movie, if we're treating this like it's real life, it's like a man just fucking died and you're still over here like, yeah, but not on my watch. There's no way that's real. Then we know this motherfucker is just full on. It didn't matter what you showed him that night. He wasn't going to believe it until his eventual. Yeah. Well,
that brings. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's something that DJ Anubis and I kind of touched on just while we were watching it or discussing it together. We liked how when you were watching the show, it felt like you were watching it from your home.
Yeah.
But then
we were watching it from
you know what I mean?
I actually wasn't. But I thought of that.
But
too.
then when it cut to the behind the scenes things, and it was, black and white, and people are kind of chit-chatting, it kind of gave you that, like, okay, and that's where you got like some of the side story. That's where you hear about what happens with him. That's where you hear about like, he's like, Minnie was like the secret name that I gave my wife, and that those little like kind of clues make you start piecing it together the more that you watch the movie.
And that goes back to what Joel was saying, because when Jack is going to tell the producer, Fisk, that, because he's getting ready to tell Fisk that, he said something about Minnie in the ring, and it's like, but the guy's like, look, don't worry about it. It's all working out fine. No, don't worry about like the lightning glitches and this stuff going on with the technical stuff. It's all just part of the thing. Just like go with it. Don't worry about it.
And I think that's to be said about anyone who is number two, right? Number two, never number one. You're the runner-up, never Miss America, whatever you want to call it. Like, he is really striving to win the ratings game. He's really striving to be what they call him, Mr. Friday Night, or so he wants to like make that mark. So he's trying to be over the top. It is Halloween. I'm trying to be crazy. I'm trying to put on all these like interesting people.
Well, Jack spends a good time telling Gus when, after Christo's death, he's like, don't be spreading this around to people because rumors fly around. Like we need this. We need to be able to overtop, take over Johnny Carson's ratings. And then eventually they kind of do, because the producer comes to him and says, hey, we got like
a 10 share or some shit. Yeah.
Like it's pretty big. But it really, as it goes on, the movie, like we come to probably the most pinnacle and interesting character of Carmichael Haig, former magician turned skeptic. And he's the one that kind of like, stirs up the hornet's nest with everybody. Like he does it with Christo and just in general, real arrogant, smug. And apparently, from what I've read, he's actually based off a real character, a person named James Randi, who was of the same thing during that time on the Johnny Carson show.
I totally remember him. Like Johnny brought him on, and he would do that.
So he would be the type of person who is like James Randi was the type of person who would be the skeptic.
Yep.
So you saw him, Joel? I'm just asking because I wasn't.
Yeah, you could find. I'm sure those episodes online where he.
I think someone showed some clips.
And even what's funny is, there's actually like nowadays I think like Chris Angel, there's a couple other guys who do the same thing. Where like we have a check for you guys right now if you can show us something that is not magic, and they debunk it. And they're just because.
It's like Mythbusters before it's Mythbusters,
right? And so it's like because like people are taking it, they take advantage of people, they take their money and all this and that, and they want to avoid that
or get free drinks at the bar.
There's nothing outside of that.
Well, and what's so funny is just again, like I love how they kind of apply these quick backstory. So like Carmichael, he's filming outside the Annabelle horror house, and he's like, "Yeah, the other two people didn't want to show up."
Oh yeah.
It's like they were too afraid. He's just such an arrogant dick, but it's funny and it works. And then he does a good job because he goes through, like we see later on, once June and Lily come out, like he actually is able to convince people that, like, I can just hypnotize you and it's fine. I can show you this is fake. But shortly after Carmichael's out there, we get, of course, June and Lily, and June is a parapsychologist who is taking care of Lily, a young girl who was abducted, or at least part of this cult. I forget, the Braxis was the name of the demon or something, but
it's Mr. Wriggles.
Yeah, that's her alter ego. But so we get introduced to them, and at first June's kind of like, let's not push it. It's just, you can talk to her, but we don't want to go any, real deep into this because she's been acting strange. Like she has been acting more than unusual.
And why would he want to push it? This is late night television. This is ratings. This is, the first reality TV show. Let's, bring it on.
Well, what I'll say is
motivations.
Yeah. I'll say Torelli, the girl that plays Lily, was fantastic.
She was.
I thought she did an excellent job because her mannerisms just from each side of the coin look great. She's all happy and go lucky one moment, and then like the demon from hell in the next. Mm-hmm. So Brandon, at this point you've been introduced to Carmichael. You're now introduced to Lily and June. What is your feelings about where we are in the story?
Oh, it's pushing forward perfectly, really. Because, I can't fucking see. I forgot your name already, dog. Joel. Joel. Dude, yeah, you nailed it on the damn head, man, with what you were saying about the things that, in movies, how, the casual audience, won't really catch on. Right. But if you watch enough movies, man, you will see things, the pieces falling into place. You can see that shit from a mile away. That's what makes it so good when you don't see it and you're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, because you watch so many damn films.
Right.
This movie, going into it, I was kind of looking already, at the setup of the guests, where I was like, how is this going to work? Are we going to have to watch this guy and he's going to come out and play guitar for he's a guitarist, and the next guy's like a mime? I'm like, how is that going to work leading up to the showdown? But they found a way to make everybody perfectly intertwined to keep the story flowing and coherent, which I guess, because it's a Halloween special. But going into it, when it's like, we have this person and this person, I was like, oh, dude, how's this going to work exactly?
Right.
So I love the way they piggybacked off of each other, culminating when we get to meet Lily. And honestly, when we get to her, dude, like, it takes off. That's my favorite part of the movie, actually. Like, she's scary, in spots, but prior to before she took off, like when she walked out there just trotting along, would just like look right into the camera and then like turned her head like this and looked back at the camera. I was like, oh shit. Like,
am I the only one that thought that was actually scarier than when she actually turned?
Creepy as hell.
I was like, oh shit, bro. Like, this is real. They like, it's almost like the demon was like, oh yeah, you see a little girl?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck all this shit up. Just wait. And then she went back like,
and the audience is like, oh, and they just don't even know what's coming,
Yeah, that shit was so well done to me. And I immediately, like, all it took, like, sometimes they say like acting, like you don't even need to talk. Like, which as soon as she did that, I was like, oh, this little girl's gonna fucking kill this shit. Yeah, that's where I was at that point. I loved it.
Tony.
With that part, I thought it was creepy as hell. Like, it felt like she was looking right at me. It's like, and it's like, something. We all know, like, Late Night with the Devil, there's going to be more, but like, and she's all cute and innocent, and then like, she's kind of weird too, because then like, when they did the hypnotist part, which I won't get too far ahead, but like, she's like, why is he acting like that? And it's like,
right?
Everybody's seen the same thing, right? So she's not all there to begin with, but like, she's very kind of innocent, but like sinister. It's, you just don't know what to expect. Like, I would not put my face that close to her,
No.
But like, I thought they were.
You don't think I'm pretty, Jack?
Oh yeah. And you could see that there was something with Jack and her what's her name that brought her out. Like, I knew
June.
Yeah, I could tell right away there was some
names,
kind
dude.
of a history. I'm good with faces, I'm bad with names.
Dude, horrible.
But like, I could tell like the way they were talking with each other at first. I was like, there's history there or something. But it just takes off from there when she's on. I never know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Joel.
Oh, I think that was that part right there when she comes in, she takes that like whole kill them with kindness to a whole different level, right?
Yeah.
And like, and the way they filmed it, where she was just staring into the camera, all this, everything was, it was just great to really set up the, all right, now, because you could almost, if you didn't know like that the title had devil in the title, if you just said, hey, Jack's Late Night Halloween Special, and you just watched it, you could probably like, oh, this is kind of crazy,
Yeah.
But at that point you go, okay, this is what this isn't this is a scary movie or something. You know what I mean? Like, it just, it all shifts right at that moment.
Like, wait, what was that? Like, it was like a little twinkle in her eye that was, you could just feel it. Like,
and her performance.
He's all like, well, you don't have to look at the camera now. You can look over here.
What do you guys think? Like, instead of, like Joel said, what if they called it like Jack's Late Night Halloween Special as the title of the movie instead of Late Night with the Devil? Do you think you would go into it maybe not anticipating some kind of possession, or do you think that it was a good title choice?
Well, that would have been a great marketing thing now, just think about it, because if they had not, if like in the trailer you don't really get any sense of like a possession or anything when they kind of dance around it, and then you, as you said, just name it something else, that would have caught people off guard. I think that probably would have worked better for the film overall. But
I think so, 100%.
I like that idea better, but I think everything in like butts in the seats type shit, maybe. Well, maybe not with this film. I don't know, but
I don't know. Like, some people look
That
for
people-
scary movies and they say the devil, so I'm going to go see a scary movie with the devil, so I'll go to the theater.
catchphrase.
yeah.
Of course, Halloween in the title too will get people.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah, like
No
Jack's
Michael
Late Night
Myers,
Halloween
goddamn.
Special.
Yeah.
I would have gone with it. I would have saw it either way. Either title.
Neko, any final thoughts there with that?
I agree with everyone. I think this little girl, I hate calling, she's what, 13, maybe 12.
Yeah.
She has that like borderline age too, where she's not like a little girl where you think of like she's a child, but she's starting to become mature. But then somehow, as things progress, you see like how mature she can be because of her possession, right? So I think they did a good job with choosing a little bit older of a kid, because it does kind of get a little bit I don't want to say risque, but like it's a tough thing if you had like a kid, a 7-year-old, 8-year-old trying to do that same thing. You may not feel like it may almost feel like
that'd be too weird.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying, because like they're pushing that boundary, because with like the whole thing, like, you know, Jack, you don't think I'm pretty, or when she starts talking to June while possessed, she's like, you know, Jack and June go up the hill to fuck each other's brains out. Like they go into that Reagan Exorcist territory where she's like, fuck me,
and
you know, shit
that's
like that,
the same
you know?
thing. She was like right at that kind of like age where it's not a child, but not yet where you're going to be like totally okay with them saying that. So it kind of feels weird and also terrifying at the same time because of the way she delivers all of her lines. So I like that casting choice. I think she's a great actress, and I like how everything starts to like play out.
So as we move along here with the movie, obviously June ends up trying to bring the Mr. Wiggles out of Lily.
So can I want to ask all of you, like, what is June doing hypnosis? Is that what that is? Or she's just like talking to Lily and saying like, you know,
it was a little bit because she had to put her under. So,
but it was different than like,
but she's not like a straight hypnotism or anything like that. But
I haven't really seen it like that. So I don't know what I mean. I wouldn't call it hypnosis the way that we see.
I mean, the way that Carmichael did it.
I was gonna say later in the movie when you see hypnosis, I just didn't know, because she was a parapsychologist, but she also had like her PhD and stuff. So she seemed like, you know,
I wish I could remember what Carmichael said when she said she was a parapsychologist, because it was so funny.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, you were at the university or something. I just started laughing. It was like, oh my god.
But she's a very educated woman who's out there like doing things that are pushing boundaries, etc. But like,
well, but that's yeah, and that's why you have someone like Haig who's there to challenge all that. Like that's why it works. Like there's this back and forth. It's, you know, but. So we get our first glimpse of when Lily or Mr. Wiggles comes out and starts actually addressing Jack as if she or he knows Jack. So like it's kind of a weird moment where Jack's like, have we met? He's like, oh, we've met at where the tall trees are. And so we get our first glimpse of that, and then it moves into where Haig is like, well, I know how they did this. Like he's already calling them fakes. He says it's bullshit. And this is when he hypnotizes Gus, and we kind of see how he is able to hypnotize certain people in the audience. I guess there was
like the majority of
there's a couple that said they never saw what most of us saw, and this is what makes Haig kind of convincing as a character, because he's able to do something that nobody thought he could do. Because, you know, at this point before that, Jack was like, yeah, you might be, you know, forking up that $500,000 because I don't think you're going to disprove this. But he's able to kind of actually make a convincing argument at that point. Yeah. So when he ends up hypnotizing Gus, and then of course snaps him out of it, and then everyone's like, "Oh wow, okay." And then they're getting ready, kind of like to end the show. So this is when shit's gonna hit the fan. You know, they don't even bring on the singer. Like, you know, the audience, of course, wants some verification. So Lily's like, you know, maybe we should watch a replay of when June had me under. Man, you kind of just get the vibe.
Well,
of,
you're skipping a little bit ahead because
I have to. It's time.
I know, but what I'm saying is they replayed when he put the audience and almost everyone under. So like they saw that you can easily be manipulated, basically.
That's
all right. Don't skip ahead, guys. Sorry.
No fighting.
So, yeah, I know. Like,
my camera normally overheats at like 55 minutes.
Yeah, so
I'll still be here though.
He's removing me.
So Lily suggests they go back and replay the footage of her being under with June, and so that's when they go back through and nothing has changed. And so now Carmichael's like, there's got to be an explanation for this. I don't understand this. And of course, we get to a point where Jack says, well, we need to freeze frame it. There's something going on over there in the background.
Yeah, he caught like a little something. Yeah.
So he breaks it down, and then all of a sudden we see this image of Madeline, who was his wife that passed away, kind of standing behind him, this like ghostly figure. And then he freaks out. And of course, at this point, Lily, Mr. Wiggles, is making his way back into her control of her body. And I'm going to let Joel kind of take from here. What did you feel about what's happening at this point of the movie?
And
you can be honest. You can be honest.
No,
as a director,
I'm honest. No, I think everything's great. What's going on? I already felt like. See, I don't want to say it because I don't spoil. We're okay with spoilers. It's been out a while, so like I already knew kind of what was going to happen from the AI images when he was like signing the contract, stuff like that, And so
really? So I did not pick up on that.
Oh, I did immediately, and I was like, okay,
I didn't pick up on that either.
And usually when that happens, I enjoy the ride. I just enjoy the ride after that. But I'm a writer too, right? Like, so I'm looking for that kind of stuff. But
you're being very analytical at the same time, going, okay, this plus this equals
right. And so, but I like that, and I knew when we meet the wife and she's on the stage with him and she's got the mask and she talks about this harem of women and stuff like that. I knew that would be a pivotal, like what, so when I see her as a ghost, I'm glad that they went in that direction at that point. So at this moment, everything's going good. I mean, it's well written. It's playing out how I would like it to, I don't want to say more, to go too far ahead of us.
Okay. Tony.
I honestly thought, I didn't know we were going to see his wife. I thought we were going to see like a weird image on the little girl, instead of seeing the wife. I was like, oh, okay, she's there. So I wasn't expecting that. But I knew when there was a glitch, he's like, oh, go back. I was like, yeah, what was that? I saw that too. I thought we were going to see like a demon face or something right there, but we saw the wife instead. So, but I keep thinking like, all right, what's going to happen? Because with this whole woods thing and like, what was the point of showing that? Like, where's that? It didn't come into play too much yet. So it's like, and then she mentioned about the what they call tall trees or two trees or something like that. It's like, okay. And even then I'm like trying to put stuff together. I was like, wait a minute. Cause I jumped to conclusions to everything. Actually, I do too. Like, we see so many movies. I could figure it out pretty much. Oh, I bet you this is what's going to happen. And I was kind of right with this, but not entirely. But yeah, I didn't think the wife was going to be standing behind him. In fact, I thought that was a creepy image, to be honest.
It was a little bit.
Which is probably their goal. That was the whole like shock value that sort of like sent Jack over the edge a bit at that point.
Mm.
Brandon.
Yeah. mean, pretty much just what they said and what Joel said, just for the sake of not getting too far ahead. But yeah, definitely a creepy image. I love stuff like that where it's a little more theater of the mind, not in your face, just, maybe a quick flash to just, keep you on your toes. And that's exactly what it did. And it really delivered at this point for me, for sure, too.
Mhm. Neko, any thoughts on that part, or are you good?
No, I'm just loving all this new input.
Yeah, now I have to go back and watch it again because Joel brought up the shit in the background, like I wasn't really paying attention.
And
to
I'm the type of person
That's a good one to piece together.
Yeah, like I'm not a stupid person. I find myself highly intelligent, but when I have to like figure out a movie, I did not understand Inception and Fight Club forever. And one day it just like clicked to me with Inception. I like looked at him, I was like, the old dude at the beginning of Inception is that same dude, and he's like, like I'm like, Fight Club. So when you have something that gives you a little bit of thought in a movie, because I've got my own canon going in my head about this movie. What's happening? Is this real? Is this like this girl is doing, stage tricks? What is going on? And then the movie kind of gets a little interesting. But
see, I love like thought-provoking movies. It doesn't matter if it's just horror or whatever. But I think she makes a good point because I'm if it's straight in my face and I understand everything that's going on, I really love it. So, but like with Joel, like you mentioned, the stuff in the background while he's signing the contract, like those are details that I wouldn't normally catch.
It's my
and it's that short montage at the beginning that we all just kind of
it's
took
so
as
funny
like,
because like one thing that she always bust on me about is this movie called Life of Pi, and like I'm looking at it literally, like at the end of it, I'm like, so what happened with the tiger? What happened to the fucking tiger? She's like, he is the tiger.
I was like, it's an allegory.
Shit. I've been looking at it the whole wrong way the entire time.
So
Richard Parker, ain't there his name?
I think it's a blessing though that you got.
Yeah, Richard Parker. I'm trying to remember how he said it. Yeah, that's good shit.
DJ, I think it's a blessing the way you watch movies though, because I feel like I can't watch movies like that anymore.
I think I just blacked out.
Camera overheated.
I'll even tell you about it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it'll
That's
say.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yeah, no, you'll be able to hear me, but
yeah, okay, cool. That's crazy.
He's hiding right now.
Yeah,
he's hiding. Okay, so we're gonna bust through the end here because I got a lot I want to say towards like because the ending is a little bit interesting and a lot of people have a little bit of difference.
And I honestly have not, like, I gave Anubis my theories. I don't know what the real theory is, or maybe it's one of those. Okay, go.
Okay, so Mr. Wiggles takes over Lily again, and now it's game on. Like the demon's taken over, and she starts like somehow like generating energy from the tube to the lights above her, and people are fucking freaking out. They're starting to run. Gus is the first one that's like shitting himself, so he's got a little necklace with the cross on it. He's like, what is it? yeah. Goes with the traditional Sade, and of course ends up getting his neck snapped around.
The smallest cross known to man. It's like
right.
It's like, what are you bigger? I mean, hey, power in the cross, no lie, but like
Carmichael, he's like not knowing what to do with himself. He starts like recanting his demon, his sins and everything else. So he's like trying to call on God to save him. June is of course trying to pull out her little, like, I guess it's a rune or something she was using to control how the demon came and went with inside Lily, but that got whipped away around her neck, pulls her up in the air. We of course see the neck get slashed. That was like my favorite death scene, really. And then, of course, Carmichael's ended up incinerated because he tried to pull out his check as if that was going to do anything at this point. I don't think the demon cares about your money, my friend.
Yeah, right.
And somewhere along the line, Jack gets thrown across the room, but there comes this point in the movie where right around this time where we're kind of thrown back through the timeline that Jack has gone through history doing different shows, and they're played out a little differently.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like they're mocking him, and you're starting to see that did he make a deal with the devil to get his fame and earn all this? And then we also learn that he ends up towards the end of that sequence at his wife's deathbed, at the side of her bed when she's dying, and she's basically telling him like, I am the cost for you to have your fame and your riches. And he's like, I didn't know. So thus she's like begging him to end it with that dagger that they get from the cult in the house where Lily was found. And so as he basically assisted to kill her with the dagger to end it, because he thinks he's doing the right thing by his wife at that point, we then flash forward, and it's actually Lily who he stabbed with the dagger. And as he looks around the room, he still sees the bodies, but it's like you start to wonder, like, was this a dream? Was it legit? Like, what are we dealing with here? And I'm going to go to Brandon first. What did you think of this sequence?
This is a tough one for me, man, because this is where not seeing it in like a couple months, I feel like like even when I left the theater, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I was trying to like piece things together after the movie. And I never really came to a full conclusion on it. Like I could see it going either way. And now being 2 months removed from it, I actually meant to watch my review before this to kind of like pick up on things. I've kind of picked up on things again, just listening to you guys. I'm like, oh yeah, now that's back. But this is one part of the movie that just kind of, it kind of left me puzzled. And I'm usually pretty good at like pinning down what, director is going for. And I'm not just saying that like, I know I'm right. Like I'll hear a director come out later and be like, this is what I meant. I'm like, told y'all motherfuckers. But this one,
I saw it.
Yeah, but this one, like, I kind of like, it's like I had my ideas. I kind of went back and forth whether like, did this really play out? Did it not? All these other questions that like transpired the night I left the theater. But I never really, that's something that almost did kind of hold the film back for me. And it's not even its own fault. It's just my own merits of just being like, I haven't really fully settled into what I feel is the overall intention, or at least the overall intention to me yet. And I need to watch it again, and I think that will probably do it. It usually does. Or, sometimes movies like this just get left open and, they're still great on their own watches. Or maybe you do hear the director come out and you're like, okay, that one didn't resonate fully for me. But now that I see it and I watch it a fourth time, oh, shit. But, it's solid. I was not like this ending sucks. It just never fully, I didn't fully not necessarily grasp it, or I just didn't piece it together in the ways that like I wanted to. Because I feel like there's more at play here and the way it was being delivered. It felt like it wasn't just cut and dry, this is what it is. It felt like there was more messages I was supposed to receive in terms of maybe undertones or things behind the scenes or things I should have picked up on prior.
Right. Tony.
There's a lot of things you have to try to remember the way I look at it. From the movie, because going back to the cult, and if you remember, the cult was sacrificing kids like babies and that.
Yes.
And she got away. I think since she got away and this demon was in her, it was waiting for a chance. And then they had this rich people thing in the woods, and he made this deal, didn't realize it was with this demon, and he got his fame in that. The wife was the cost of it, and somehow, and then when they're showing at the end him going through and he's like, what's going on with all this, they're trying to trick him, obviously. And then when he stabs the wife and finds out it's her, the child is finally sacrificed. And after that, we don't know what happened. I guess I don't really remember. Is that supposed to be hell,
What was he saying
hell
at
on
the
earth
end?
now, or what? The what?
Yeah, it was something about like being in a dream or something. He's trying to wake himself up to think, because he doesn't believe what's happening.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's the type of stuff I was talking about too. Like even him saying that, I forgot all about the cult. And then as soon as he said that, I was like, oh yeah, that was one thing I was going back to and harkening back to in the theater. But now present day, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That.
I kind of think the demon had this in its, well, I think it was planned from the beginning that this is how this was all going to play out eventually. You know,
Right.
Because she escaped.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a good.
I
That's a
can
good
dig
approach.
that.
Before I get into Joel's and Neko's conclusions and before mine, because before Joel, one thing that is a nitpick for me in this is the use of her like getting power from electricity or the lightning or whatever the fuck it was. I thought they could have used more like with June. It seems like it's a little more practical, whereas the rest was more CGI.
a little too over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't mind that, but the thing, like, so think about Carmichael's death. I would have liked to see something more along the lines of what they used in Raiders of the Lost Ark towards the end, like the melting. Like that would have been fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But so that was really kind of like my only nitpick. I know that because Joel works on films and stuff. So Joel, what is your thoughts about this ending sequence? What'd you think about those things I brought up about the effects and all that?
I have a totally different interpretation, I guess.
Okay.
I do too,
No, it's
Tony,
fine.
but go ahead.
I hate I'm not included in this because I usually have my own interpretation. I'm usually that guy.
I thought it was.
Well, if
maybe
they trigger something, you'll remember something.
Maybe
I might even be like, oh, I think that's what I settled on after he says this. For all I know, but
well, I thought it was. It's fairly self-explanatory. I thought it was pretty much like.
It wasn't for me.
No.
No.
Well, maybe I'm totally wrong.
No,
go. I need
are
you.
divided on this.
So
That's
what
why
I
I want to know.
What I think is that the wife did it all. That was my whole takeaway from it. Did I watch the wrong movie? Like
no, but it's not even my take.
When you go to that one, they actually flash back to the wife, and she's all like, she's kind of pissed about this, like that whole harem of women, and she's talking, and then they show this like crazy like shot. It's like one shot. It's really fast. She's like, and she's all mad, and she's looking at him, right? And like Mr. Tony the Dead in the woods, they made a deal, and she was a sacrifice. That's 100% there, right? That she was a sacrifice, and she even says that, right? But she is there in the studio, so that seems another clue. And this girl, the demon that is in there is the wife, right?
That's who the demon is.
I believe so. After a certain point, I believe that it starts with the normal demon, and that's why she can't control it with that rune. She's been controlling this demon with his rune for how many years?
Yeah,
for this girl's whole upbringing. But at the end, she can't. Why? Because it's not that demon.
I thought it got too out of control. That was kind of my interpretation.
And she's pissed because it hasn't even been a year, and he's already with this other woman.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Because they show that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so,
and that's the whole Jack. Yeah. Jack and June went up. Yep.
You know
And that's the other theme. Yeah.
That's what I took away from it. And
no, I dig that. I think you're right, actually, maybe. But the thing is like, I had the exact same thought, but the reason I forgot about it is because like I didn't come to the same conclusions to get to the same thought. So like I kind of was like, well, that can't be it. That like I feel like there's more at play here than that. But once you kind of like laid out a couple things I like kind of looked at differently, I think it really might be that. And it's not as just like cut and dry. There actually is a few more elements that make it more interesting, because I didn't think the film would just be just flat out like, oh, it's the wife. Because I got that vibe too, but I was like, there's something here I'm missing. But like when you were talking about how it just kind of got away, and it's like she's been controlling this for how long, I was looking at it like it was just getting deeper and further like off the leash. Like she let it go a little too long, and then she was in like, now it had an audience, and it was just like, now I'm about to fucking show my power move. I'm on live TV, for now I can finally like show like you were never in control. That was kind of the vibe I got, which, you know, could be real too, I guess. But in order to reach the ending of the conclusion that you just said, which I think is more plausible when I was watching it, I think it does make more sense of what you're saying. And I guess the reason I didn't take it that way is because I would think a demon would do that. It would trick its person into thinking maybe that, okay, yeah, you got control of me. And then when it gets to where it wants to be, you know, in front of a broad audience, it can be like, you didn't have shit, bitch. That's why I never moved off of that. And that's probably what derailed me from getting to my conclusion, which maybe if I watched it again, I might have. So you might have put that together for me in some weird way.
Yeah. Which with me, it's like that demon would never know that one day he would have this opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't he have just taken the opportunity to leave when he can? And but as well, the devil fulfills his promise of making him a #1 rated show.
Yeah.
You know, and that's that whole scene at the end. Like, hey, man, it's time to pay the piper, you know?
First thing that comes to my mind about this, like the explanation is, it just reminds me of Wishmaster.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Joel.
Like
sorry.
it was all used. Like the devil let the wife go, have a rampage to get those ratings for him to complete his side of the bargain. But now he's got to pay. He's, you know.
I agree with that. I think you're right on that one.
I don't know. That's what I took away.
I agree with that now. I took a different avenue, and then without those little pieces, I was like, it can't just be that. But now you get like kind of open my eyes, those little pieces. I feel like that it ties everything together. And I personally, I would say I think that would be my interpretation now too. Just listen to that. But I do got to watch it again, and we could listen to the director again and be like, what the hell are y'all talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I could totally be wrong because I mean, it's filmed as this. It's filmed as, okay, he made a deal with the devil. The devil got his numbers up, but it was a massacre, and it's media. Like media loves, you know, that kind of stuff. He got to #1.
Hell yeah.
That's it. It's over for him now. And that's how it is. But I feel like, well, I think deep down there's another thing, which is the wife. But I might be totally wrong on that.
I mean, it's like music, though, man. Like when you listen to even artists, a lot of times they'll talk about their music where they'll be like, okay, I totally meant this, but like that's even better. Or like, what does it mean to you? Like, how do you interpret it? That's the art of it all.
Okay, I'll give you a good example of that.
The same thing Tony said too would work too, because that's his interpretation.
Right.
Well, like you're saying, Brandon, with music, and this is so funny because I just was reading something about this. Remember, after 9/11, they were showing all those shots of like firefighters and police officers and stuff who were, you know, helping and doing everything they could, and they were playing that song "Hero," like that by yes,
really?
And yeah, they were like doing
Foo Fighters.
no,
David Bowie?
Enrique Iglesias.
I
can be your hero, baby. So like they're showing all these like strong dudes like out there, you know, helping and like but the song is like a total sex song. Like if you listen to the song, and I read an article recently about that, and it's like you're saying all people are hearing like is "I'll be your hero, baby," and like flash of a firefighter, flash of a police officer, flash of the American flag, but the song is really about like this dude trying to get in some girl's pants. So interpretation, one person, interpretation, we're going to use it as like a whole like mass media thing.
Yeah, that's what's great about these types of films, where it's not just like base, you know, level. I love films with undertones, as long as it doesn't turn into an overtone and overtake the movie. But you have undertones and things of that nature under the film, and then you can come to the end of the movie and be like, damn, that was good. And I feel like there was a few, and you rewatch it, the rewatchability goes up, you make your own conclusions. I mean, that's filmmaking at its finest, for real.
I think I remember someone saying when we left that they thought everyone was still hypnotized.
No,
that's me. No, and I don't think everyone was still hypnotized. So for me, I'm like a natural skeptic. I am not like, This is why I pretended to be a psychic. Like, I don't believe in any of it. I don't believe in spiritual things. I don't believe like any of that is real.
Neither
So
did Christo.
I'm a what?
I said neither did Christo or whatever his name is.
That's true. That's
not
true.
their interpretation, but like he
So
might be
for
like,
me-
shit, it's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm watching it as a very skeptical person, I'm like, maybe this guy really can hypnotize, and this dude was just so susceptible to his hypnosis that he was doing this all in his own mind and just slaughtered everybody. That was my conclusion to the movie. I wasn't going into a deal with the devil. I wasn't going into any of that. I said to DJ Anubis, I'm like, I feel like Homeboy is just so scarred from the death of his wife, and it was just so much going on, and he's trying so hard to be like number one, that the stress of it and the suggestion of being hypnotized snapped something in his brain, and he slaughtered the entire studio. That was my conclusion. I don't know if that's right, but I'm loving some of the other things too. Like, I didn't even think about like where he was signing the contract either. Like, I didn't pick up on that.
Can I tell you why I think the hypnosis doesn't work? Theory. Because of the very beginning of the film, the voice says, "Here are the tapes. Like these are the recordings of what went down that night." Now, if it was the hypnotist, right, or they were all hypnotized.
No, I don't mean everyone. I mean just him. Like he just couldn't handle it and turned into this monster.
The problem with it is when someone's hypnotized and they play back the video shows what really went down. So when we see, does that make sense? So when we see her killing everyone, and these are supposedly the actual recordings, we would have seen him.
Okay.
Does that make sense? We would have seen him killing people and not her killing everyone.
Or can she be right and it's a plot hole, so we have no blame?
Or it's a plot hole.
Yeah.
I would hope that like a well-written script with great dialogue, great performances comes from a director who would be aware of those kinds of plots.
But what's great about this is we all have something to say. Like, we all took something away from it, and like, even though it's like just small differences or small little things.
I got a counter argument for Joel.
Oh no! Okay. Oh no! He's counterpoint.
Now, I agree a lot with what Neko said, because it makes sense that he was under so much duress and dealing with the pain of his wife that he was trying to be number one for so long that it's easy to see him kind of freak out. Now, you can sit there and say, well, sure, he wasn't hypnotized, but at the same time, the thing that I always take into consideration here is the thing about the 70s and 80s was, as I grew up like you did during that time, there was the satanic panic. It came to like movies, music, whatever, and so there was a lot of like, oh yeah, this stuff's going to lead to Satan and all this other stuff, but none of it was ever founded in any factual basis. So when it comes to the recordings, as you say, we know that stuff can be manipulated for propaganda.
Oh shit!
So
he's going into editing versions.
So I do think the guy probably freaked out. Now, again, the thing that makes this film great,
but that's
is that you can have any interpretation you want. So yours makes sense, Brandon's, Tony's, hers, everybody's makes sense. Like, that's what makes it a great film, because you can just come out of it and say, this is how I saw it, and this makes sense to me. But I can see why everyone else has a valid point too. And I think that's what makes it great. I don't know why people dislike that. Like, some people just...
No, I love it that we all had something different at the end.
I mean,
I am completely different than all of you.
There's always a weird thing, because like, if I think about Night of the Living Dead, I want to know how that shit started. Like, what was the catalyst for why the dead are walking? People are like, no, I don't like that. I like having the idea that we don't know. But then, like, you look at like 28 Days Later, we kind of know it starts from a monkey bite. But I am kind of contradicting myself at times when I say stuff like this, because like I like those open-ended stuff, but then at other times I wish I had more of a straight answer for why something happened.
But I love the fact that I gave my whole like skeptical thing, and Joel's like, but remember at the beginning where they said these are the real tapes?
That's because he's fucking analytical.
No. But then you are like, but that's propaganda. This is propaganda. How many things are we seeing nowadays that are manipulated and they're showing it as is real? And I'm like, shit, it could be anything. My mind is blown again because they've done such a good job.
Like, those are the tapes. This is what happened, and people still don't believe it, even though there's the facts right there. That's but it did happen. Just like nowadays, how many times do you see something be like, that's fake? Because nowadays you could do so much.
You can deep fake anything.
It's worse now, man. With AI, it gets crazy, man.
Yeah.
Well, if what you say is that, so you're saying that all that footage is manipulated.
Yes.
And
they say the JFK assassination is manipulated.
That's at least my theory. Like I can't.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give this to you. That if your theory is correct, then it helps me to understand the one thing that I didn't like about the movie, which is in that third act, they go off the TV camera rails.
Exactly.
Still in camera, right?
Right.
So like they go up to extreme close-ups and stuff like that, where now it's editing. Now it's just a movie.
Right.
And they're not.
And he's like in his own head, and shit's happening.
So that explains one of the things. I was like, oh, why did they do that? Did they just forget the rule that they had placed?
Right.
So if it was manipulated, that would be the reason why that is. So I could see that. I'll give you that.
And I was saying to DJ Anubis earlier, I'm like, this is what I think. I haven't looked anything up. I haven't like even Googled it and said, hey, like, what does the ending mean? Blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, and I don't know what his thoughts were beforehand. I just gave him my thoughts. Like, I believe this guy is having some kind of mental breakdown because he has stress with the death of his wife and stress from work.
And that's the thing that's like, it's the really weird thing about that very end. Like after he's impaled Lily with the dagger, he stands up and he looks like he's in disbelief, but you can interpret that and say, is he in shock because of everything that just happened? Like if it's all legit.
No, because he's waking up from some kind of like psychosis.
Is he all of a sudden saying, what the fuck did I just do? Like you have to sit there and you have to try to process how you think he's feeling, like what's going on there. And so I love the angle that Joel came at, because like I didn't
think of that either.
That at all.
I didn't think of that either.
But he's right, because the mannerisms at times with her is very like conniving and angry, like you can tell. So
I didn't think about the wife. Like I mean I thought about the wife in the way of his heartbreak.
She's being portrayed as a sympathetic character.
Exactly.
So, like, you're not really thinking about it.
But when you think of like,
then why is she in the tape?
I think she's behind him, protecting him.
That's the thought that I would think. Like, so when you think about Christo, right? You think about Christo when he gets that thing with Minnie and everything else. My interpretation, if I'm going that direction, is that she's trying to warn him, don't do this. Do not continue this show. Like, get the fuck out of it. Like, I think she knows something's going to happen. But if you're Joel, you might be saying that she's doing it on purpose, maybe try to manipulate him even further to go further with the show. Who knows? You never really get that answer because it never comes through.
Jeez.
I like both.
And me, I'm coming from like, this is all fake. This dude's a psychopath kind of thing. And
which it could very well be. It would explain the one thing I didn't like about the movie is when it broke its own rule.
That's cool. You can meet in the middle though with that, so that's nice.
Yeah.
No, but I love everybody has something different that they took from it. I think there've been a couple of movies. We mentioned it earlier, Blair Witch, that everybody kind of was like, is it real? Is it fake? What's going on? what other movies can you think of where there have been so many interpretations? Like, kind of, I said mine to Inception and Fight
Life of
Club,
Pi.
Life of Pi. I like, dude.
Shutter's Island.
I don't.
Oh, Shutter Island's all timer for me. I don't know if
Dude,
y'all
that's
seen
a
Civil
good
War
example.
yet.
That's a
One of
great
my
example.
favorite.
I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all seen Civil War yet, Alex Garland, but Civil War and his last movie, Men, I have argued with people nonstop what those movies actually mean, because there's nothing to do with the straightforward story. It's undertones, and that kind of is
Right,
the catalyst for
right.
carrying those undertones. And people are like, "Well, I didn't even get that." And it's just like, well, watch it again, check it out.
Oh, he was very
don't
clever.
ruin
Like,
Men.
I hadn't
That
seen the
is
movie,
the
but
illusion of it.
apparently, when you put like California and Texas working together, you're already creating this. Like,
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. But if you
Yeah.
watch the movie, man, it's not. I mean, there's some great violence in it, but it's all just the message, the underlying message of just us as people and the way we fucking just are so susceptible to fall out of, like, our routine, because everything's good when the fucking lights are on, but as soon as the shit hits the fan, we go primitive, we go full on animalistic. And this movie showcases
trust.
that in such a special way. And whereas a lot of people went and saw this movie and they're like, well, I mean, I wish I was following around some tyrannical parties, shooting people up, and it just wasn't that fun. And it's just like, no, bro, Garland fucking nailed this shit, dude. The horror is us.
let's get some final thoughts on our ratings, and Neko, we'll start with you. Final
Me.
thoughts, and then give your
All
rating.
right, so my final thoughts. I love this movie for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Mainly, I kept saying it to DJ Anubis while I'm watching it. I love the aesthetic. It looks like a real 70s talk show. They got the costuming right. They got the mannerisms right. They got the music right. I love the horror aspect of it. I love that we all had some type of different ending in our, own mind canon going with it. So 5 skulls out of 5. That Shudder rated it. I also give it 5 skulls out of 5. I haven't seen a movie in a while that that made me think. Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's made me think. The last movie that made me think, and I know a lot of people don't like the movie, but Don't Worry, Darling. I don't know why. I watched it a bunch of times. Like, I know the ending, because sometimes when you have a twist ending, people don't want to watch a movie again, but I kept watching it because I'm like, I need to find
Well, it's
out
hard
where
because
she
once you've gotten that like twist ending, you're like, because like it's hard with Shyamalan films because you already know what's happening, but at the time, the first time you see it, you're like, your mind's blown. But after that, it's kind of like, okay, I've seen it.
I feel like now that we've all talked, things that everyone has said about this movie, I'm gonna watch it again because it's only an hour and a half.
Have that definitive twist.
No, but that's what I mean. Like with Don't Worry, Darling, there are so many things we don't even know if the twist is the real twist. We know what these guys were doing to these women, like physically, but we don't know overall because it just kind of left it like we went through and she woke up. We know physically what they've done. Anyway, this story, because we all have came up with different endings and everyone has learned like different little, Easter eggs throughout the movies. I want to watch this again. It's a short movie. I'm popping it on as soon as we're done.
That's one good thing. The runtime is very smooth. It doesn't really lag or anything.
That's true.
So five skulls out of 5 if we're going to do the skull rating as in on Shudder.
Joel.
I would say 4 skulls out of 5 if it's my ending. 5 skulls out of 5 if it's DJ's and they manipulated the footage, and that's why they broke their own rules.
I thought he was gonna say like, if it's DJ's, it's gonna be 1 out of.
No, because it would be 5 out of 5 if everyone's hypnotized. If he really like lost his mind, I could see like maybe
the hypnosis drove him crazy.
Well, whether it's hypnosis or not, like he clearly, if you go by my theory, he just lost his shit. Like at some point, whatever the discussions were going on, even if Carmichael somehow tricked people into believing Gus was pulling like worms out of his stomach, it's like I just kind of can see why at the end when he's looking dismayed, like, what did I do? Like,
Yeah.
why did I do
It's a power of suggestion.
right?
Yeah.
And
Second
so,
place,
like, you
Ed
could argue
Mike,
he just had a
Ed
mental
Mike.
breakdown.
Yeah.
So,
He's a cat. He would be a candidate for that.
so Joel again. So
that mean-
you.
Would that mean
Well,
the girl?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Would that mean the girl was never possessed?
Yeah. Like it's just
Like it was
you know,
all
she
hope?
was on the show. Everything was like that was the whole point of the show. But somewhere along the line, the dude just lost his shit. But
So,
that's
yeah,
if,
okay.
that's
So
if
that
you
girl-
run with that theory.
Right.
And I'm fine with the open. Like I don't mind your theory. I don't mind anyone else's theory. I think
But then
it's
the
great,
wife was still there.
no, she wasn't.
She was never there.
Never there.
So
Just
homeboy
in his
who
head.
ends up dying. How do you explain that then? Because
what?
the guy who dies in the hospital who vomits, seeing the ring, knowing the nickname.
Well,
how
they
do we
said he
explain
had.
that? Anyway, we're
hemorrhage
going
or
into a whole
something.
nother
Yeah.
thing. Sorry.
Yeah, they just said he had like a hemorrhage or something. So it just could have happened. You know what I mean?
It could have been a gallbladder attack.
It could have been a hemorrhage because he was like going like this so much, but how did
Right.
he know the nickname?
See, you're giving me outs. I love it. You're giving me outs. I love it.
Like
Tony.
when I watched it, I just walked away. I was like, "Oh, cool." The wife got payback. Hey, you sacrificed me. I'm coming back. And
That's a great approach.
you're
In
dating
fact,
this
I don't think
girl-
I didn't even think of that,
there's
Joel,
anyone
at
that's
all.
even approached
and
it
you're
like
dating
that.
this girl not even a year after I'm dead.
It's
And
like
she's
what was
pissed.
the
But when I walked out of the
Right.
theater, I didn't really think that I'd be on a show like months later going, you know what I'm saying? Like thinking,
And we all have different interpretations.
I would like to go on Google and see what. Yeah, he sold his soul to the devil. We all agree on that, I think.
Oh yeah.
right? That
No.
he did that. That seemed you don't
They
agree with that?
they don't.
Oh, that's
No,
crazy.
I
because
don't.
it's
He
totally-
might, but I don't.
no.
It
I
totally
think like the little boys club and everything. I think that's all true. I think
No, that's what I mean. I think the boys club is true. I just don't think
But
it's
it's
really,
not really-
selling your
there's
soul
no-
to the devil. I think
Well, he
he's
believes
just
he did.
he believe yes, he in his mind he thinks
Right.
he's doing all this.
there's no paranormal about it. He just
No,
believes.
man, they were coming to collect, man.
But then when he wakes up
And
and,
they use
he
the light
slaughtered
to
this
do it.
entire studio,
Josh says, "I wanted more of the cult he was a part
me
of."
too. I love cults.
I want to Google it and see what normal people, not us, think.
Oh, see, I know that like Samurai did a review, Kevin did, so I'm gonna go and check them out. I didn't watch Brandon's yet either, so I'm gonna go through and I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
I got a
start
review
watching
on it when the thoughts were more fresh.
I didn't even see one review on this. And
Oh,
when
wow.
you
Me
popped
either.
on Facebook, I was like, "Oh, I saw that movie. Sure, I'll hang out." I didn't
He's
think
like,
it was
"I'm
going to be
in."
like everyone had a different ending. I didn't think that this is where we were going to go.
Right.
I don't do
You were like,
spoilers, so I
it's
didn't have
so
to talk about
yeah.
it.
Joel's like, it's so totally apparent of what's going on, and I'm like, am I missing something?
And Joel was like so sorry. He's like, "Yeah, this is what happened."
And I could be 100% wrong. And like, is
But
this?
that-
But that's
is
the
this
thing is
movie-
nobody's wrong because
Right.
there's no definitive answer.
Right.
and
That's
this
what makes
movie's
it
like
great.
just taking off now. Is that?
It is huge on Shutter right now.
Well, the
It
thing
started
was,
moving
like,
Shutter.
it was
Shudder's
getting
now-
press, but it was getting press for all the AI stupid shit. Like that was the dumbest shit that was giving it press. But people actually like it. It's doing well on RT and everything else. So
You gotta think, man. Like this ain't like some big blockbuster, obviously. So
No.
like it was really like niche. Like people going to theaters to see it. Like me, I got to review movies on my channel and shit like that. But also, I go to see movies, pretty frequently. But most people are like, "Oh, that'll be on Shudder in a couple months." I'm not worried about it. So now I think the heavy flow is coming in because it's on Shudder.
yeah,
All the big horror fans have Shudder, aside from me, because I'm a dumbass and buy all the horror movies I see and waste my money. But
I've had Shudder in like 2 years or something.
I've never used it, surprisingly.
I
But
think we're
mean,
like grandfathered in because it's only like $5.
No,
I had
it's-
it. I had it when it
$25
came out for a long
Yeah.
time, but I think I felt like I seen everything there or had seen it.
They've
And so
done
I was
better because that
yeah.
used to be my biggest complaint with them early on was that they just didn't have any. They didn't
He
refresh
actually
it
he
enough.
did. He actually
upped
wrote customer service about that. And then he was pissed off about the app like being glitchy.
Yeah, they did a lot of.
It was a crappy app. That's-
The
If
reason
they
you know
got-
why I got Shudder
Mhm.
is because I saw an ad with this dude with teeth all over him, and I was like, I need to
I
watch
remember
this.
that.
And it was a series, and I watched it, and it was fine. It was good. It was well written.
Tony, final thoughts. Rainy.
I don't want to say 5 out of 5. I would say probably 4 out of 5, only because I feel like the very ending with her head splitting open and everything coming out and all that stuff. I think it would have been a little more Late Night with the Devil if it was just like her with the cross and that, or whatever, their necklace getting cut off and like the head's twisting. I feel like if that was something that happened with the head splitting, then people would believe it. And I think that went a little over the top. So I think that's why I'm taking it to 4 out of 5. But I hearing the different theories of it, I like everything. I think honestly, Anubis, yours is like the most far-fetched for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see, some of it being true. Joel's is very interesting, like her, because I do remember her like kind of like having this weird facial expression. I thought, what the hell is that all about? But I didn't really think about it the whole, because at the end I'm like, I turned to my wife, I'm like, what do you think? She's like, I liked it. And I like, what does it mean? Like, is this or that? And now it's just us talking about it. It's like so many possibilities. It's but yeah, when this comes out physical media, I'll definitely be picking it up for sure.
No doubt.
But yeah, I'd say 4 out of 5. I'd say it's definitely, if don't listen to any negative results, just go in and watch it and get your own idea of what you think. That's the way I would say.
Brandon.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I think all the high praise is. Now, I will say, when I saw this movie, it had like a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes or something fucking ridiculous.
That's
like
crazy.
after like 30 reviews, like I was like, okay, I'm going into this hyped. Like this is gonna be the best thing ever. It wasn't quite that, but it still was a chilling movie that put a different spin on these type of movies. The possession type of genre. It kept it alive. Like we've seen this type of movie done the other way so many times. It gave it a fresh feel, kicking it back to the 70s, the authentic vibes, the performances. Finally seeing the lead star. I'm not going to say his name again, but like I said, I've seen him in other movies. Even the Boogeyman from last year that I didn't really like. He was really good in it when he was in it. He was really good in like Prisoners, a more serious role, even though it was shortened. He's been so good in these type of roles when he gets a chance. And to see him go to the forefront, I got to at least give him some respect for that, because he did a great job in the role. And the whole movie, man, it just doesn't escalate quite to a 5 out of 5 for me. And I honestly think it is that ending to where I haven't been able to piece it together. And maybe it's because we did all come away with so many different endings, because while that is a great thing, it's also kind of like, damn it, I can't really pin it down. Like, I don't really know where I want to go with it. So it's not like, completely right down the middle. Like, it's like pending. Like, I need to watch it again. But as of right now, it's still like an 8.3 out of 10 to me. That's how I rate things. And it's a great movie. Anything over an 8 to me is a great movie. But surprisingly, it's only my 9th favorite movie of the year. I think movies have been kicking ass so far this year. I don't know if y'all want to hear the movies that are better than it to me. Just quick reviews.
I actually should just do a video on it.
I'm sorry. Before you start, I looked up Rotten Tomatoes. It is 97%.
I told you, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And 81%.
Yeah.
And I knew that going in.
Tonight, I had no idea. I went and seen a movie. I was like, the wife did it, and I was out. I never thought I would.
Surprising, right?
Never turn to this.
It's probably because it gets in your head and you can't stop thinking about it. And that's how I felt. Only a few movies have done that to me. And this is one of them where I'm like, we've already watched this 3 times. This is no exaggeration. We've watched this movie 3 times.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like looking for clues. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I want answers.
Together.
I want to piece this together. I want the answers.
Well, I got to watch it a 4th time because Joel points out things that I didn't catch. So I have to go back
He
and
might have gone
look at
crazy now that I think about it.
Yeah, watch it again.
The one thing I was like, when he's like kind of like paying for the devil for what he did, there's a freaking owl there.
Mm-hmm.
right? A guy dressed as an owl. Was that
Night
part of
Owl.
the cult?
Yep.
This is the
Night
type of shit I
Owl.
was talking about.
Was that
Where I was
part of
like,
the
it's
cult,
got to
though?
mean something.
I
It's
thought
part
it
of the
was part of
cult.
the
They're
cult.
all in like robes and they have the owl heads.
I couldn't
You gotta
remember. Okay,
think,
so
like,
maybe he's
these-
not crazy then.
No,
Because if
no,
it
no.
wasn't part of
These
the
men's
cult,
these
and it's
men's
that because
clubs.
the show is
These,
called Night Owls,
Mm-hmm.
that would tell me that it's everything's in his head.
Mhm.
But if it's part of the cult, then he didn't go crazy.
but I think it can be divided because you got to think.
Well, like I said,
These men's
the
clubs-
cult or whatever it is that he's a part of can still be an influence on his subconscious. So
Right.
even if he does freak out and go crazy, it plays out in his head like I was in a cult, you know, like he has no control if he actually like loses his mental stability.
And his it may not even be a cult. It may be, like I'm saying, a men's club.
What's the one we always make fun of?
The Masons.
Yeah.
The
There you
Freemasons
go,
and the
Freemasons.
Shriners. I want to know everything about them and they won't tell me anything. A friend of my mom's, we went on
I bet you stay
vacation.
away from him.
Anyway, he has the Shriner ring, and everywhere we went, we got something. Free parking. There's your table.
Free dinner.
Yeah, it was he and his wife and my mom and me. And I'm like, you're a Shriner, aren't you? He's like, yeah, how'd you know? I was like,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, you know? I'm like, oh, I know. And I'm trying to get all the secrets out of him, and he's not telling me. He's like, we raised money for the Shriner Hospital. And I'm like, no, I want to know the real secrets. And then we're going, and they're like, there's no parking spaces. And they're like, oh, go park over there, no charge. And I'm like, how is it that you got the Shriner? Anyway,
Maybe all the
I
answers
think-
you look for are in this movie, and this is what the director wants to get out.
You're right.
exactly.
You
I
need to
think
watch
it's
it 40 times to figure it all out.
Right.
I think this kind of,
I don't know.
if you think of like, if you want to look at it surface level, there are lots of men's clubs back in the day. Like, look at back to Fred Flintstone. Where did he go? Like the Elks Club or something? Or
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
this
company.
he
Yeah.
belonged to a men's club, and they were doing crazy shit. But I think, and this is my headcanon, is he was very depressed and let everything like get to
Build
him.
up, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm loving the thing that Joel is saying, and I missed it at the beginning with signing the contract, and like it was like a
But
mirror
they
image.
show him that he did that in the thing
Sure.
in the end too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want
So
to hear.
now I'm watching it again.
Yeah, I'm not down. He's signing
No,
contracts.
that's what I'm saying.
just-
Like now I'm watching it again because I want to learn more.
yeah,
I
you
need
never know. I could
more.
watch it 500 more times and come away with a whole different ending to how I feel about it.
You know, it's another
But this
movie.
is my
Oh,
final
sorry.
thought. So
Sorry,
I
go.
don't want this to drag too much longer. For
Sorry,
you guys,
Brandon. I know
but,
your camera's gonna catch on fire.
I really enjoyed this. It's definitely gonna, at this point, gonna be one of my top 10 somewhere in there by the end of it. Not sure where, because I still have to see some movies the rest of the year, but definitely enjoyed it. I don't know if I give it like a full 5. I do give it like 4 out of 5.
4 1/4 skulls.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a fun movie, and I love the aesthetic and the attention to detail with the look and the feel of the monologues and everything else, the verbiage that they used throughout it. Everyone did their job well in different roles. Like I said, Ingrid Torelli plays Lily. I think she's got a bright future. She was really good in this. I really enjoyed her character
I
there.
did too. I agree.
So what I want to do now is just go around and ask you guys, Joel, like, what do you have coming up? Anything special for your channel or Media Glitch? I know you can't
Or
give
your
any
Twitch.
details about your directing stuff yet, but
Well, I mean, if you watch Media Glitch, you can see that that's on the back burner because I'm pretty busy. We're filming
Yeah.
the horror anthology. I can talk about that. That's on.
Okay.
It's on IMDb now. I can't tell you who's signed on because they're getting released as
John Travolta.
so is it separate like episodes?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm directing 2.
Oh, that's so
the
cool.
shorts, and so
Where is it? Where can we see it once it's finished?
it'll be in theaters.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, but one of my shorts, I'm telling you, is gonna blow your mind because it's just like it's something that horror fans. If you're a true horror fan, when you get to that end, you're like, that mother, he did it. And so I'm really excited about that. And then I'm directing my first video game right now. So that's another reason why Media Glitch has been on the back burner, because I'm, flying out to Chicago, having meetings and stuff like that. And we're getting things going. And we were going to do an official announcement in August at Game On Expo. We were all there, but we decided to kind of wait a little bit. And so you should see that announcement coming up soon. So.
Oh, so awesome.
Tony.
Nice. Same as Joel. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm directing some chicks.
No, I did record a video yesterday and it's all weird, so I have to record it again, and I'm gonna be doing another pickup video. Oh, it's like
the most annoying
choppy and everything. I'm like, well, I'll just do it again. But yeah, nothing really, just that kind of thing. One thing I wanted to say about that movie, one thing I really didn't enjoy, besides how it made you feel, was I love the going to commercial and coming back.
Yes.
The image they would have up with like the owl and
the only thing they were missing was by the time they got to some of the
that.
more violent stuff, they didn't go to we're experiencing technical difficulties.
They did at the end, at the very end, it said stand by or some shit.
But they did melt it all.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yep.
Which could be his psychosis.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
Brandon.
I just wanted to mention that for I like that
That's
stuff.
cool.
Right.
Brandon.
What's up? Channel?
Got anything coming up? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I was making sure I was on the right track with you there. Yeah, I don't really have anything, big plan other than just the normal reviews. I've been busting out a lot of movies, going to see a lot of movies this year. I just saw Boy Kills World. I'm definitely going to be reviewing that very soon. And then I also saw The Stranger with Micah Monroe. I just found out that this was a fucking 10 episode series that were all 5-minute intervals. And I had no idea it even existed, but now they've combined all of them together and have made one fluent movie. Wasn't a really great movie, but I love Micah Monroe and she's just the shit. So I'll be talking about that soon. Those are probably the next coming up things on my slate, but anything can pop up at any time.
Cool. All right. Yeah. For us, nothing planned just as of yet. We do have a couple of trailers I will do with Neko in the next couple of days, if possible.
I think we might try to see a movie tomorrow.
Yeah, I might try to go see Boy Kills World or something like that.
We're having it.
Do it.
Hey, Jedi. Better late than never.
Hey, buddy.
Did you guys see Stop Motion by any chance?
No.
Not yet.
I want to watch it. Is it out already?
I think
Or just the trailer. The trailer?
I watched it somehow.
Oh, did you? Yeah, but you get all this
You
stuff.
get
It comes
all
to
the-
your desk.
he gets the
That's what he
bonus
keeps saying. It
features.
comes to my desk.
I didn't know it was out yet, but I want to see it really bad for sure. I got a soft spot for that shit anyway. So all the 80s
It's got-
films and shit.
Beautiful stop motion.
Awesome.
I
I'd love to hear that.
on top of something else here. So I won't get it.
All right. Thank you guys for being here. Hang on a minute. For the rest of you who checked us out and came by and said hello and stuff, thank you for stopping by. Check out the movie you haven't. Highly recommended, obviously, from all of us. And we'll see you next time here on the Metal Tavern Radio podcast. Take care.
Yes, sir. See y'all.
Before you die.